Yeah, welcome to the road to Cheltenham. 3 weeks to go now until the festival gets underway. But sadly, we must start this episode by talking about and paying tribute to the late Michael O'Sullivan, who sadly passed away from his injuries in the early hours of Sunday. More injuries from a fall at Thurles a couple of weeks earlier. And, boys, we spoke about him quite a lot on this show because of what he did on that day in Cheltenham back in 2023. I know I was a big fan of Marine Nationale. Frankie, you were. Joel was against him. And we talked about the ride he gave him and then went to win on Jazzy Matty. I mean, he's a massively talented pilot taken from us far too soon.
Yeah, it's incredibly sad, isn't it? It was a fantastic jockey, and from what I've read, and the little I knew of him as well, I didn't know him really well, but I interviewed him a couple of times and had the chance to chat to him on a race course every now and then. Just a lovely lad, lovely lad, really intelligent lad. I think a very genuine, good guy, and it's such a shame, both from his riding career, but also just from the great man that he was.
Yeah, it was a horrendous incident, Joel. And I say, he just had such a great big future ahead of him.
Yeah, it's always really sad when we lose a jockey, and you've got to understand that our sport that we love is, we can talk about it globally on the big stage and what have you, but it is a small knit community. And look, I'd never met the guy, but you respect what other people in the weighing room say about him. You look at and I would urge people to have a look at the 25-minute documentary that appeared again on Twitter that Horse Racing Ireland did. Really intelligent guy and such genuinely an amazing talent. It's been a sport that I've loved all my life. I'm 47 years old, and I think I'm qualified to be able to be an armchair jockey and look at the talent that some of these jockeys have. And I remember, and just going back through the WhatsApp group of maybe 4 or 5 years ago to you, Matt, and saying, God, who's this lad? Who's this young lad? And you were first onto him. And the fact that he was being used in those graded races and not being able to use his claim, as you say, and it was that 3-way photo, wasn't it? As a Jazzy Matty. And I thought one of the outstanding things was a lot of our jockeys go over to ride in France, and he rode a winner for Noel George and did the entire interview, the winning interview afterwards. Have you seen it? It's popped up again. It's brilliant in French, and he's got a degree, and the jocks that I know are all in mourning. I thought it was really the right thing to do to abandon Punchestown at the weekend. Top lad, will be missed, from a top racing family in Ireland. And it really, really hit me yesterday. It's normally one of those days where you just move on with it and then say, what we got for Cheltenham lads. But it's one of those ones that really hit me. I never met the lad. I just thought outstanding talent. And what an age to lose a lad like that.
Yeah, I mean, so we witnessed him. We were both here and in Ireland, riding in France for 3 very different ways of riding races. But he was just like a natural horseman. He was onto the roster at Willie Mullins's as well, and I'm sure he would have had many ways. Such a sad loss to the game. But our thoughts, of course, with all his friends and his family and all the racing fraternity, both Ireland and the UK as well. So, Mike O'Sullivan sadly passing away in the early hours of Sunday morning. We move on, of course, looking at the festival. So we are 3 weeks away, and action from the weekend probably centred around Corbett's Cross and his run in the Ascot Chase, which I don't know what you boys think. I'm kind of caught between a rock and a hard place here, in the sense of it was a trip short of his best. Mark Walsh never really, never really got tabs on Pictory. He was at him for quite some way out, and it looks like he made a bit of ground on the bend. But I think the speed of Pictory showed in the closing stage. He stuck on to be beaten 10 lengths, but the market reacted quite favourably. He's into 11-1 now. Is that because of the lack of opposition, or were you generally taken with his performance? So obviously he'll certainly benefit from the extra half mile, Frankie.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I'm stuttering with my response because I'm not quite sure how to weigh it up. I think we got what we expected, in the sense that, or we know that it's going to sharpen him up. We know that he might have got done for speed by Pictory. We were hoping that he was going to be too good for him, but it didn't work out that way. I'm surprised that he's been cut. I thought he would have stayed around the same. I'm surprised that he's shortened. I don't think I saw anything that made me go, wow, he's enhanced his claims, but equally, I don't think that what happened at the weekend was a negative in terms of a very, very different race. He doesn't have a whole lot of speed, or he doesn't have as much speed as Pictory, and that's why he got beat. But that's not the game, is it? Over 3 miles and 2 furlongs at Cheltenham in the Gold Cup. He's still a contender for me. I wouldn't say we learned loads, in my opinion.
No, I mean, we learnt more about him than we did Lon Press. He was very disappointing. I know he kept jumping out to his left. To be fair, Joel, you called that, didn't you, on the punter's guard on Friday? You said he'd be out on the road and stuff because he did jump out to his left. And Charlie Deutsch called it a day early doors. So that'll be a little bit disappointment. But what did you make of Corbett's cross? So I think the feelings is pretty mixed.
Well, when I looked at the three, and we talked about it on the punter's guide, I say long press, say jump left, pulled up, right thing to do from Charlie George. And to be fair, you couldn't give that money away on the exchanges. You couldn't give the horse away, so that was expected. What wasn't expected was Corbett's cross, because I was on the road to Blackburn to Ewood Park to watch them play Plymouth Argyle, and I didn't even realise that it got a favourite. And watching it back, I just don't know if it's too close to Cheltenham. I don't know why it was running there or at all, and the whole thing was made for Pictory on the day, because it was, when I got back and watched the ITV racing, it was basically the Paul Nicholls and Meghan show on Saturday. There's nothing wrong with that, and we're hoping to get that Grade 1 12 months later. But as far as going to Cheltenham goes, I don't know what the point was of that run. And the horse has been campaigned very weirdly, and as Frankie says, a shortened. So could it run into a place in the Gold Cup? Yes, but I don't think it was JP's money at the weekend. I was more head scratching than anything at the weekend. I don't know. Obviously, the winner ain't going to Cheltenham. That's been ticked. I will really not run long press at Cheltenham after that run, but that was expected. And Corbett's cross, what are we, 3 weeks away? Do you want to be? I mean, it wasn't given a massive.
I guess there's some of that, isn't there? As Joel's just kind of done, by process of elimination, maybe he shortens somewhat, because you do take another look at the Gold Cup market. Your eyes are on it because Corbett's cross was running at the weekend, and you start to go, well, maybe that horse won't go, or you chop down the list, and he's nailed on as that being the target. So maybe it's a case of we're getting closer. We know he's going, and therefore he tightens up.
Ruben Walsh made a good point about is just to sharpen him up 2.5 mile, get him thinking, get him jumping quicker. His jumping was on the whole decent. There was a couple of scrappy leaps, but on the whole it was pretty decent. And once his chance had gone, he plugged on, as you would expect, over that trip. So I say that's a mile short of the National Chase. So I say it wasn't devoid of promise, but ultimately it was beaten 10 lengths as well. So, but it is interesting that he's short, and as you say, it is his target, and we know he will certainly benefit from the extra chip. Can he lower Galloping Deschamps colours? That is a massive ask. We'll go to the other end of the spectrum, though, from the Staying Chasers to the Speedster Hurdlers, because we had the Kingwell at Wincanton as well. And again, we're probably looking at horses for the place market behind Constitution Hill here. Obviously, we still don't know what Brighton Days Ahead and Lossiemouth are firmly going to do, but Golden Ace, she was first off the bridle coming out the back straight, and yet she got up to win by a small margin, beating Burdett Road. I mean, are these two place contenders for the champion hurdle, or do Ireland get those behind Connie Hill?
I watched it the weekend. I thought it was a fantastic race. I'd love to have seen what price Golden Ace went to in running. And it was Noel Feely horse. The Noel Feely colours were coming into it. I'm going, hello, what we got here? So the Golden Ace was the one you'd written off first. And Sam, was it 2 Hour made the mistake? That road, and then it was pretty much all over, and Golden Ace stayed on. I would never ever seen that. Obviously went off Fave, so that would have been good for the punters, but I wouldn't have called that beforehand, wouldn't have called it in running, but I also think both of them had a tough race, so either won't go, or I mean there's
I think the owners said bring on Cheltenham. Immediately after the race, it says straight to Cheltenham.
But do you not think both had a really, really tough race, because Sam wanted to win that, and
it's a great race to watch, isn't
it? Yeah. I mean, the one I keep seeing, going back to, is Grey Dawning, and going. You've pretty much effed up his season by such a heavy race at Haydock. and you've got to reroute, and there is only one Cheltenham Gold Cup, they were saying. And I thought that straight away after that, they wanted to win this and then go off. I don't think either of them thought it was going to be a tough race.
Okay. Obviously, Golden Ace might have a chance to go with the mares as well. But for the champion. I mean, do we take in that Brentford Oak didn't run his race? Because on a line through him and with Constitution held into at Cheltenham, obviously they've got decent chances. But I take it, because he was very disappointed as well, and he's probably one of the first beat.
He was, yeah. I thought he'd run a big race at the weekend. I was very wrong. Yeah, just disappointing, wasn't he? He didn't really seem to have much fight in him at the business end of the race. His race was over as soon as they got going, really. So it's a funny old market, isn't it? The champion hurdle market. I don't think I'd like to be backing horses like Golden Ace to place, just because it seems a bit silly trying to fight for third place when there's so much decent opposition that can turn up. I don't think they're much of a bet, but I can see why some people might try and make the case for all these outsiders with horses maybe not going. And, it's not guaranteed that those at the top of the market do all turn up and perform anyhow. So she's a bit of a price, but I think Joel does make a good point. It was a tough race, and it's not going to get any easier at Cheltenham.
No, the ground as well. There was quite a bit of rain, because it did look quite testing there as well, didn't it? What about I'll just talk about the Novice Chasers, because we looked at the Reynolds-Town, obviously, with I can't remember which one was it, Jingo Blue?
Yes.
I can never
Jingo Blue unseated.
Jingo Bay, I never getting the right way around. If Jingo Blue wasn't unseated early doors. So, and there was Larry's Bar and non-runner, it kind of made it less of an interesting race than it would have been. But the changing man, it won by 24 lengths, Frankie, you put him up. He said maybe the Brown Advisory, if it cuts up, could be his destination. But he must have a chance at the ultimate, mustn't he?
You'd think so, wouldn't you? It was impressive. As I said on the Bunter's Guide, Ascot would suit him better than Cheltenham, I would guess. But he's a horse that's progressing nicely. He's been improving along with kind of, bumping up in his handicap mark and matching it. And, he hasn't been hiked up, and that seems to be him done. He came second 3 times on a trot as his mark was rising, and then he's gone and won at the weekend. Okay, got an easier race, like you said, than what we expected. But he could have a good chance. He's a really likeable horse. The way that he is progressing, he jumps well, he's got plenty of experience. I think he would run a big race.
Yeah, he could easily say he was very close to Newcastle, left-handed as well. What did you make of the changing man, Joel?
Was that his first win over fences?
Could be, no. His first win. Well, he's got done 3 times, hasn't he, by nice horses in handicap?
Pharaoh Bamboo, Victorino. What else did he? Yeah, no, he deserved his victory. He did deserve his victory.
Yeah, he did. But I think before that, I listened to it on the way to the football, and Lowry's Bar.
You're right, John. You're right.
Say again?
You are right. That was his first win over fences.
I always am, right? So look, like Mr. Coffey's going to go to the Grand National, and 30 horses are going to drop out. He's going to win first one over fences. Now I knew there was something in the back of my mind that had said that, but Lowry's Bar at the weekend are really fancied over the favourite anyway. So I think they're a similar price in the Ultima, aren't they? Around 14 or 16s or whatever. I'm not sure. I checked that on Saturday. And I'd if Lowry's Bar is obviously going to be fresh, but they're a changing man, didn't have to do a lot. Jock was looking over like Ellie was it Peaky Boys in there as well. Like I thought that would have run a better race when the favourite had fallen and seated. And the Jock's looking around going like, anyone fancy come in? Out of the 2, I'd have Lowry's Bar over the changing man.
Yeah, but Philip Hobbs in an interview saying he was looking at the national for Lowry's Bar, but obviously he's not had the runs to qualify. He's not actually qualified for it. Well, he said that would have been his ideal target this year. And Cheltenham, he may just save him for next year and have a look at the national next year instead. So he's not definite for the ultimate either. Maybe looking at something down the line at Aintree. Yeah, it's one of my favourite races, the ultimate. It always is. And so I was looking at it because of the likes of obviously Iroko not going, Highland being looked at for Kempton this weekend, so he's probably unlikely to go. Nick Anderson was saying Haiti Kalor is a horse that I really like, but he's probably off National Hunt Chase instead. So all of a sudden, at the top of the market, there might be something there. I mean, Masaccio, I'm not sure if does he stay a extended 3 mile, especially a stiff track like Cheltenham. So it could be a race where there's a few in there that might shorten. So it's certainly one I'll be keeping an eye on when the entries come out this week. What about Novice Hurdlers? I'm going to start with Joel here because we have Battleborn Lad for your mate Mark Walford winning at Haydock, but I think he's more likely to Aintree, isn't he?
Yeah, we'll definitely be going to Aintree because we tried it a couple of years ago and we had that nice horse in Ultima. We're never seen, so definitely one at Haydock at weekend. It's a bloody trek, isn't it, going over there over to M62 and M6. It's right there. No, do you know what, Mark Walford's? He always comes into form at this time of years. A couple of the bigger price winners and a couple of place horses and whatever. Around February, March into April, he does all right. He had that horse last week as well. It was about 12 to 1 or something like that. So Battleborn Lad won the last two. We'll go to Aintree. Will be to put away now. Think highly of it, and lovely horse that. Why does he want to buy it? Have you on that matter, Frankie? Got a few quid you can maybe send our way? Honestly, they're all like that. All the Easter beers and Mark Walford. Onto Aintree. Really, really nice horse. They really like this horse. I'll tell you what, I've said it before. Jamie Hamilton on any day is as good as anybody. The jock.
Yeah, no, it's a great ride. And I say it was a race we're looking forward to. I was really excited by seeing Derry Haas and Paddy away, but he was pulled out. A couple of other pulled out as well. But this horse really beat Wendigo, didn't he? Early on in the season, and he was second in a cello. So we don't know where his limit may lie. Okay, that was over 2 miles at Hexham. Frankie, what did you make of him?
I like any staying novice hurdlers that go from the front. Once you start ticking past 2.5 miles and up to 3 miles, if you can go forward and do it the hard way and get horses at it, on your terms and then stay on. I'm always in favour of those kind of forward-going, staying hurdlers, and he was exactly that. I thought it was a big performance, actually. I think it was a relatively competitive field that you'd get at this time of year with a couple of the novice hurdlers in there with some half-decent form lines, and they were coming into the race in decent form. I say it turned into a really nice horse. We probably want to follow him from now on. I don't know what they'll do with him next year and exactly where he'll end up, but I reckon he'll have quite a lot of progression in him.
Okay. Anything else that caught your eye over the weekend? Obviously, handicap entries are out this week, so we've kind of done the graded races to the nth degree now. Is there anything that you thought, is he hiding his light under a bushel or may strike soon, Frankie?
He wasn't hiding, especially not from Joel, but Joy unfortunate if you backed him at the weekend, but from when he moved to the Skelton's yard, they sent him to Cheltenham 2 times first before coming and having a crack at this. You'd have to think maybe that they had the festival in the back of their mind anyway. So he could be one to keep an eye on towards Cheltenham. I reckon that could be the end goal for him. And then I'm quite interested in the Nicky Henderson Potemps team. He seems to be throwing a few of his hurdlers that maybe haven't gone to the heights that we expected, now getting them qualified for these handicaps. Jericho de Repine the other week qualified. Shanna Bob is one we've been talking about. Doddy the Great, he might not be good enough. He might even have to be put up a couple of pounds, but he's building a good little team of horses that are potentially well handicapped and for whatever reason haven't yet really ran their race or there's form drops a touch, as has their mark. So quite like the look of the Henderson handicap team, which is not something I'd usually say.
Joe Machan's an interesting one, I think, Joel, because Harry Atkins has ridden him twice. So could they be considering the Mardin Pipe with him back on board? Because they've got Be Aware, who's Coral Cup bound. And obviously that's the other logical option.
Did say that on Friday on the Punter's Guide when I said this could be the best bet of the season, or it might be the worst bet of the season. I was wrong on both counts because it wasn't. After 3 out, I thought, I see what you're doing here. And then stayed on and stayed on and stayed on. Is there a chance? But the bird had flown. So I don't know. I don't know what you're doing with this. I think that day was the day, and it wasn't given a bad ride. I'm not saying that, and I'll be the first to say, as an armchair jockey, I'd say that it was given a bad ride. I just don't think it picked up as quick as Harry Skelton thought, and I thought that was the day. I think Martin Pipe is obviously the second option, but really? I don't know. Look, pocket talking. I backed him at the weekend.
Altobelli's a nice horse, though, isn't he? And he's a good Ascot horse. That was the plan for him. They said that as soon as he won the last one, didn't they? They said he'd come back.
I just can't get them right sometimes. I was thinking, are they double swerving us? Where it was out the back that day and then goes and pops up in one of the big handicaps, but it wasn't. I was completely confused because handicap is not going to touch it now. Yeah, we're not being dropped £16 for that run. You know what I mean? So I don't know. That was the one of the weekend, but Frankie does mention Jericho de Repne. We talked about that horse a couple of years ago. I'll be keeping a close eye on that. Brush up the jumping, and I'm sure we'll see that pop time. And also Johnny Who, they're doing something with Johnny Who, but again, what?
Well, it's interesting because they're both JP owned, aren't they? I mean, he does love the Potemps. We were the 50-1 shot, didn't he, many years ago? Crayon, was it? And it is a race that he kind of likes. Jericho de Repene did that Exeter third, I should say, just looked like, well, he didn't quite get there, but he was staying on all the way, and not those harshest of driving out. So yeah, he's certainly one that I think could be plotted up towards the Potemps. And Johnny Hill, as I mentioned, he's in the Ultimate. Is that if that's the way they go? It's like John Joe won it with Hollywell Boy and something else he went with recently as well, didn't he? Was it the Trevor Hemmings colours? I can't remember the name, but it's a race that he likes to target, and with the race at the front end of the market may just cut up, or certainly a few that are going elsewhere. Irico, JP's obviously not going. Johnny Who could be one for the Ultima as well. That is certainly of interest. We've got Kempton this weekend, which is kind of like, for me, that's it. Kempton, you've got the Adonis, so we'll see, I believe, Palladium, who could be Triumph Hurdle Band. We've got the Dovecote, which is kind of a precursor to the Supreme Novices Hurdle. We've got the Pendle as well, where, what's the one that fell at the weekend? Jingo Blue, isn't it? Jingo Blue. Yeah. We're going to see him maybe again, as we didn't get so far in the Reynolds-Town. And they may drop Django Bay, the other one, down into the Arkle, which we believe obviously replacing Sergino. So there's plenty of other clues to come this weekend as well. And then for me, I don't know about you boys, is that it?
Yeah, it's
mostly.
Yeah. Oh, hang on.
You mentioned Palladium. Nick Henson had an interesting comment, didn't he? Saying he's not a betting man, or he hasn't had a bet in however many years, but one's 16-1 and one's 7-4. But we're all hoping Lou Lambert's not as good, aren't we? Because East India Dock would be a nice winner for us. I think it is. I think then, rather than worrying too much about the weekend or even the midweek racing, you start just going into the Cheltenham form book, don't you? We have the entries and we know what's what, and you just sit and scour through the races, and that's probably where we'll start finding our feet with a few more bets.
Yeah, I was going to say it's true that Nicky Anderson's not a betting man, but I did see him walking away with a bet slip, just saying Madgeborough, 200 grand. 2 hours before Sergino was pulled out. I joke, obviously, for legal reasons.
Yeah, we'll be burning the midnight oil, of course, delving deep into the Cheltenham form book for sure. But I think for this one, I've still got Kelso, but that's kind of like the horse he's looking for the Grand National, and Aintree perhaps. And then we've got the Imperial Cup, which then the bonus is back on this year for maybe the County Hurdle, the Coral Cup. But yeah, I think after this week, we'll have the handicap entry as well. We really will know where we are standing in most of these contests. But what I want to know where you boys are standing is for your latest Antepost picks. So I'm going to go with Frankie first, whose his book at present is very top heavy in terms of Tuesday. I believe now you're having one at the back end of the week.
He likes
I thought I better. Otherwise, it could be a long week by the time the last races ran on Tuesday. I realised I've got one in the Supremes, the Ultima, the Mares,
Arkle.
The Arkle, yeah. So the book is top heavy. So I'm going for a horse I mentioned, was it the week before or the one before that? Rye Hill, that won at Nace, and going to be going on Friday in the Hunter Chase. I was really impressed with the way that he just finished his race off at Nace, and there were some nice horses in there. Ross O'Sullivan's a very good trainer, and he obviously works with a small amount of horses, but when he does target a race, he does a very good job of it. So based on what he beat, based on how he finished, I know it's a bit rogue in terms of the race I've gone for, but I was impressed with Rye Hill. And sometimes if you get a classy horse in those races, they can, get the job done. So Rye Hill on the Friday.
And that is the race that the Irish kind of target as a precursor to the Novice Chasers as well. It's one that Billaway used to run in, isn't it? And it's on the line as well. So Joel's looking through his record collection. Is he looking for inspiration for his Antepost pick?
Yeah.
Wrong festival, mate.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was looking for. I'm going down here. I'm looking down here. I am going to delve into the bumper already because and honestly, Bumpety Bump has been on, and I was waiting.
I was just about to say, before we started recording this, by the way, he did say, I said, what's your pick? He went, I'm waiting for a message. So has that message come through in the last 25 minutes?
The message has come through, but I think it was put up at 16s. I can't have that now. Have a look. I think it's fourth favourite or third favourite, something like that. It's one of Mullins, but Bambino Fever, 3 from 3. I think Jodie Townend has ridden it the last time. It was out early February. I was given this one about a month ago and won last time, I think, at Leopardstown by about 5-6 lengths or something like that. Very, very strong on this. This is not my tip. I'm passing this one on now, and I'll wait till the weights come out for the handicaps, and we'll get stuck into those. But at this rate, I'm going to go Bambino Fever in the champion bumper. One of Mullins. Good luck, everyone.
Mullins bingo. Right, I had a look through, and I was trying to find a race that didn't have much, I say, strength in depth. And we've talked about the States Hurdle this year, like a race that everyone's going to go to, and it's going to be a real big field. But we've had Crambo disappoint. We've had Strong Leader disappoint as well. We've had Homer the League come back, but he has often disappointed when it comes to the spring and Cheltenham. And I just thought Teahupoo at that price is worth taking on. So something against him because he is short enough. He obviously is. I know he's a champion, but is he a big bucks? Is he an Ingalls Dreamer? I'm not convinced. And then I had a look through. I was looking at big prices, but the one I came down on was Nicky Henderson's Lucky Place. Now, I know he's got to prove his stamina. That's a big if. But it's interesting his quotes of the day saying they didn't want to run him on trials day, give him a hard race. But they must have been delighted that Gal Road went and won it, considering he beat him in the Rel Kiel. Now, he has got another half a mile to go, but I was looking at his pedigree, and he's related to some French winners over 3 miles in deep ground as well. So that kind of helps me to think that this one will stay. Obviously, very different conditions, but he's done absolutely nothing wrong. Don't forget, he tried to give a stone to Golden Ace last year as a novice, which obviously proved beyond him, but doesn't look too bad now. He's only beaten half a length on that occasion as well. He went then and beat to turn the forms around when winning the Ascot Hurdle early on in the season. Then he went to win the Rel Kiel. So he's absolutely nothing wrong. He's very progressive. And if he stays, I think he's the danger. And I think around about 9-1. I think he's a huge player in a race that I think there's so many have blotted the copybook and disappointed. Why aren't we having a look at the one who's done absolutely nothing wrong and is continuing to improve?
I like him, Matt. I almost had him as my Antepost selection today. The reason I didn't is just because I've been so vocal about how good I think Teahupoo is. But I agree, if you're trying to find a horse to take him on, he's got to be the shout, hasn't he?
I mean, obviously it doesn't help he's British, so that's kind of like a couple of extra pounds in the plate, isn't it? But yeah, he was the one that I kind of came down on for this week. But of course, next week, wow, handicaps, world's our oyster, boys. We can go anywhere we like. All of a sudden, we'll have more clues about what's going where. Of course, we are.
Right, okay. Who said? Right, who's going for a JP horse next week? Yeah. I want the JP horse with the pink hat and the blue spots on it. You know what? The 17th string
the 8th string.
Yeah, Matt Hulmes claiming 10.
Christ, definitely more than 10 stone.
Right.
Okie dokie, right, boys. Anything else you want to discuss from the week we've just had?
Classic Ghetto put in a nice performance, but I don't think that is going to do much to our Cheltenham Antepost book, is it? That was a race.
Just down, maybe we'll stay at home.
I just think good luck to Mystic Meg Nichols. Now she's going to be buying all the Paul Nichols horses. Fair play. It was. Do you know what? ITV racing this weekend. You know, like when they used to have Ted Walsh on, it used to be a Walsh family on Channel 4 Racing. It used to be the Walsh family thing. It was very Nichols heavy this weekend. But it was nice that he got his grade 1. And do you know what? He takes a lot of stick, but I think that's why him and Fergie are so tight, because they're both winners. A lot of people, I know I would have gone, oh, balls to it, I'll go and do something else and I'll go and buy a pub. But he's still driven and still really driven. And you could tell that emotional interview. So I like that. I really do like that. So fair play to him. And he just needs a good stock. So hopefully Megan can go and get him some decent horses and stop paying 850 grand for a load of crap.
Here's one more thing.
Go on.
Nichols Yard turning around a bit, Pictory, ITV show, all of this. 3 under 3-5.
Oh man!
How did that not win?
Tell you what, if Adrian Heskin was on that, it'd have come fourth. But honestly, I said that, I touched me mate, and I said, do you know what? If they were just in a bit better form, hadn't had the flu jabs or whatever, that would have 2 lengths. I was right.
Brutal.
Yeah,
it was winning, then it wasn't. It was winning, then it wasn't. It was winning.
And who beat? Who's the jockey beat him?
Yeah, Charlie Deutsch. There we go. Yeah, I was unlucky, but to be fair, it was still a nice price. It was 11 to 1. You put him up at 16 to 1 on the Friday. So that's what the Punter's Guide is all about, and that is where you must join us next. So what I want you to do is like and subscribe, and obviously we'll notify you whenever there is one of these Road to Cheltenham shows. We've only got a couple left, boys. We're going to do the last one, of course, all together as well in a studio.
My suit arrived from Timu. My suit arrived, and my shoes. Oh, where's my shoes? Oh, you love it. Oh,
so that'll be Frankie, myself, and Stephen Mulhern, the final show.
Oh no, I got to say that we had a Oh no, I'm coming laptop on. Look at these.
What colour are they?
£7 online. Look at them.
So they'll last like one show.
Yeah. Thanks very much, boys.
Yeah, so like, subscribe. We'll let you know, of course, when you get a Road to Cheltenham show. And also, considering that Frankie went so close to 303.5, we had a couple of winners this weekend. And the week before, Joel had a 25 to 1 shot with Royal Margot. That is the Punter's Guide, which we bring to you every single Friday. And this Friday, we'll be having a look at Kempton and, of course, the Ida Chase at Newcastle. So hopefully you have a cracking week, and we'll see you on the Punter's Guide on Friday. And then we'll react to everything that happens this weekend on our penultimate Road to Cheltenham. No, 2 to go, isn't there? Yeah, 2. Yes, our penultimate Road to Cheltenham next Monday. We'll see you then.